Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. On the agenda tonight, we have the Edge from U2, of course, and this is just going to be the Edge testing out his guitar rig. So let's get him up on screen and see how he gets on. I'm just going to jump in here because, of course, this isn't the Edge playing a track or trying to show off or do anything. It's just him testing his rig. So we're not going to really be breaking apart too much. The only thing to say really is that on my videos that I have done in the past, I always say that the real top guitarists have all of their playing ability in their left hand so that they can pick up any guitar, and it doesn't matter what amp they play through, what guitar they play, they'll always have their own sound because they play like themselves, and it's one of those really rare things to have. And there's always an exception to the rule, and the Edge is the exception because he has his own sound that isn't just his left hand and his right hand, but it is a particular effect, a particular kind of delay and a little bit of chorus sometimes on the guitar, but it's mostly that kickback delay and the way that he picks through his chords. And the way that he plays is sticking together really interesting chord voicings, just having slightly different variations of chords as well. But he'll often be picking through single strings, arpeggiating the chord, and you'll get that kickback delay. And sometimes that delay is going to repeat notes and that harmonize with a different chord shape that he might then change to. So he uses the effect really well, to the point where if he just starts playing with that effect, or if anybody starts playing with that effect, it is the Edge sound. It's that U2 sound. So he's almost patented that delay, that sound with a clean tone, and that delay that kicks back just 2 or 3 or 4 times is the Edge sound. Now, of course, when he's got this sound, the last thing you can afford to do is mess up a fretting position on that left hand, or have a bar chord that's slightly not quite played well enough, because you're going to get that kickback. That bad note is going to come out 3 or 4 times through the effects. So you can't afford to mess up one time. And this is where the Edge is so accurate with his chord shapes, with his picking as well. And I've just cued it forward. Interestingly, we can see the effects unit as it is, and each one of these, I think, is a different effect for each song. So every song is on there, so he just literally stomps on the song and he'll get the right effect on his guitar for that. It's going to be now a little bit of a cleaner sound, something that you'll more attribute to the Edge. The first part was actually quite overdriven and quite heavy for the Edge, but we're going to get into this more signature sound now. I'm just going to jump in here because that is classic. That's the sound. That's what everybody knows. And the great thing about the Edge is his ear for melody. He will never obviously go off and start shredding and melt your face, because that's not the U2 sound. That's not his sound. And just having his own sound of effect is such a unique thing. But then to use that advantage of having your own sound with an effects unit to then put that into melody, that's the massive step that so many people can't make. In fact, there are a hell of a lot of really technically gifted players, but if you ask them to write something melodic and atmospheric, they just can't do it. They just can't help but play fast all the time. Whereas the Edge has got that ability to not only write great riffs and just great melody, but he gives an atmosphere to the guitar. And a lot of that is in the effect, but it's the way that he's playing for the effect. And as we zoomed in there, you could see that one of the switches had wah on it, and you'd have different stomp boxes. So it is individual effects that he can pick out, but they're all saved in banks as well. You could see it was like A and then Pride. That's the way that he's got it all set up, so that he'll change the banks for the songs, and then if he wants to change a little bit of an effect on the fly, then he can do, because he's got all of those effects labeled out individually. Just cued it on a little bit again. We can see the same angle that we've got here. Bad is now selected. We're a little bit closer so we can make out things a little bit more clearly. But that is the bank that he's chosen. That's the song in that particular set list that he might be playing. He just stomps on that and he gets his effect straight away. But let's have a little listen to some classic Edge sound. And there we go. The great thing about the Edge's playing, and we got to saw it there, is the dynamics that he throws into there. There's so much really delicate and subtle improvisation going on with the right hand and that palm muting. He really does change dynamics, even from strum to strum. He'll leave it a little bit open, let those top strings ring out, but then have a palm muted lower section of the chord that he'll then strum and then pick through. So there's a real intricacy to the way that he plays these chords, and he picks it out to then give himself this sound. Sometimes when you've got someone playing with loads of overdrive, and they might be playing really fast technical stuff as well, trying to melt your face, there's a lot of stuff that you can get away with because it's not under a microscope. There's so much that happens so quickly, the brain cannot actually decipher that information. It's too much at once. Whereas when you're only given a few notes every second to listen to, your brain can take that in and you can analyze and you can see if that was all on the button, or if you missed a note, or if something didn't quite ring out correctly. So it is a really difficult way to play, to actually pull off, not only to nail it and get all of those bar chords picks absolutely 100% accurate, also to build the atmosphere just with the guitar. This is the great thing about U2, the fact that the Edge has such a unique sound, and it's such a full sound, even though we're on a clean tone here. Because he gets those delays of 2, 3, 4 times, it means that that sound is always going to be full. There's never going to be a note that rings out and then stops. So it means he can build the atmosphere with one guitar. Sometimes bands need, keys and a whole orchestra and everything they can can get their hands on to try and make a full sound, to make it sound good. Whereas here, the Edge, all he needs is his guitar and the effects, and that's going to fill the whole sound. And often songs with U2 live will just start with that guitar riff that everybody knows, and as soon as he hits just a couple of notes, everyone then erupts because you know what the song is, because the sound is so unique. A lot of people will say, oh, he's not technically really good or anything, but he can write a melody, and that is what everybody wants as a musician, as a composer. You want to be able to write a melody that is going to sell, that is going to actually make money, so that you can then do this as a full-time job. Like I said, loads of really top technical guys out there who struggle to write a song, to write a great melody, even just to write great rhythm parts, and the Edge has absolutely got that down. So the Edge is the exception to the rule. He's so consistent live. He's a great player, obviously. He's been doing this for years. Absolutely nails everything live as well. So consistent with his playing, and he just has that effect. His name is over that delay. When you go to your amp and you set up a clean tone and you have a little bit of that kickback delay, once you get that timing right, it will start to sound like the Edge. The other important thing to understand about this is that if you were to play really fast with this effect, it wouldn't work. The Edge absolutely knows where to let the rhythm breathe and where to insert a few more notes and where to harmonize with previous notes from previous chords that he might have played. So there is an art to putting this together to get it to sound like the Edge. It's not one of those things that anyone can sound like the Edge, just put on this effect and it's magic. You still have to play the way that the Edge does in terms of picking out those single strings and palm muting on the root notes of the chords as well, and just having those open chords that he throws in there. He uses it so well and throws just the perfect sound and the perfect playing for the effect that he uses. Another great example of not copying anyone, just do your own thing. A lot of people that comment on the videos watch a top technical player and say, oh, I'm going to give up playing guitar because I can't play like that person. Just play like yourself, and then eventually you'll find that you'll groove out your own sound because you're not trying to copy anyone, and that's exactly what the Edge has done. But thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at in the first place. Keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one.